You finished graduate school, you've sat with some of the most difficult cases under supervision and possibly the most jam-packed schedule you'll ever have. And now there's nothing but a multiple choice test standing between you and your future clinical license. If you've already taken the LCSW exam, you know that it doesn't always feel like it's testing what you actually know how to do. And if you're preparing for it right now, you might already be feeling that gap. Here's what I want you to understand before you spend $1 or an hour on study materials. The exam is not primarily a content test, it's a reasoning test. It's testing how you think through a question under pressure, not whether you can recall a specific detail from your graduate school education. I don't tell this story often, but early in my career, I was actually part of a question writing group for the ASWB. I got to sit on the other side of those questions, and it really made me think about how difficult it is to get an entire test prepared full of questions. I never thought about the fact that people were writing those before, but it takes a lot of work and revision to write fair questions that really test what it's designed to test. I learned a lot of important things during that experience, namely that Arizona business casual is not East Coast business casual, and in particular, not Washington, D.C. business casual, because what do you mean I took jeans? That is a story for another day, or maybe it's not. That's pretty much the whole story. My supervisees give me so much information about this test, and they are the real sources of this episode. I'm pleased to report that to date, they have all passed this exam. I'm Lorain Moorhead, and this is Self Careapist Therapist. What keeps coming back to me from the LMSWs I supervise is which resources actually help them pass. So this is what the episode is. The list they built with the context of someone who has seen how the test is made. The way most people study for the LCSW exam does not always match what the exam actually requires. We tend to review a lot of vocabulary and just try and remember a condensed version of everything we learned at least 2 years ago from graduate school. And we study content, but the exam really aims to test clinical reasoning. What is important is not knowing how to work through a question when two answers both look right, because that is the type of thing the test really wants you to be able to do. You narrow it down to 2 answers and both of them feel feasible. This moment is where a lot of people start to struggle or even lose points. The exam is written to test whether you can think like a licensed clinician making a decision under uncertainty, because let's face it, often in this career, we face uncertainty. Often, we do get the benefit of being able to document why we made our choice, and those documents can be reviewed if there's ever a question. If you're studying now, try and notice whether your study materials are teaching you content or how to think through a question, because those aren't the same thing. The ASWB exam is criterion referenced, not norm referenced, which means it's not grading you on a curve. It's measuring whether you meet a defined standard of safe entry-level practice. Every question is written to have one best answer. Ideally, 2 options on a test question will be clinically sound. Only one reflects the priority the exam is testing, however. When writers are writing a test question, they're looking for the decision a competent entry-level clinician would make, not the most sophisticated, because social work opportunities are so vast and varied. This could be challenging if we were testing on vocabulary or each role. This is why content-only studying has a max, because at some point you need to practice thinking inside the logic of the exam itself. In addition to learning about dress pants, I also learned that each question that makes it to the exam has been edited and sent back to its writer multiple times. There are specific things that each question must have, and one of those things is that it tries to be generalizable to different social workers in different communities with different accredited educations and different resources for studying. So I wanted to walk through the resource list I provide this to every one of my supervisees that mentions that they're studying for the exam. And then if I'm lucky, once they pass and our work together has discontinued on a formal level, they get back with me and let me know which of the resources they think was the most valuable. So the first resource on the list is the Therapist Development Center, and it is a structured exam prep that is strong on the reasoning framework that my supervisees keep coming back to. Next, this is one that comes up almost any time I ask someone what they're using to study. It is the Dawn Apgar book and resources. If you purchase the book, you have access to the Exam Prep Connect live sessions for 6 months. And between the two of these, this resource has been invaluable to so many people. The live component is useful because you can ask questions in real time. A newer resource that I've been hearing about is Dr. Pam Turner. She has a YouTube channel, and she has free content on her YouTube as well as paid subscription opportunities. This is a great one to send to people if they are stuck on the 2-answer problem, because she teaches question strategy specifically. And another great free YouTube resource is RayTube. A solid starting point before investing in paid resources. He speaks specifically to the social work exam. So that is a great one to start with. And then another one that testers swear by is the ASWB directly. When you register for the exam, they give you access to an app and practice tests. My supervisees swear that you should use these. They're written in the same logic as the real exam because they come from the same source. So this is one not to skip out on as you're getting closer and have registered for the exam. Some of the other ones you could start reviewing anytime, even as you're coming up to thinking about wanting to start imagining scheduling, because, like I said, some of them have free elements and they're accessible. If you are preparing right now, take a minute to audit your current studying approach. Are you building content knowledge or are you building reasoning practice? Hopefully you're doing both, because most people are heavy on one and light on the other. So again, if you are a few weeks out, even from scheduling the exam, take a look at the free resources first to orient yourself, and then invest in one reasoning-focused resource once you know where your gaps are. I know this exam sits at the end of years of hard work, job negotiations, supervisor negotiation, finishing a tight schedule with work and internships and classwork. And it's really important, and it's a big obstacle right at the end of all of this hard work. So the anxiety you might be having around it is legitimate. The best thing you can do with that anxiety is direct it toward the right kind of preparation. You have done so much hard work as a clinician that you already know how to think like one. You've been doing it in session for years by this point. This exam is just asking you to do it in a testing room. And I hope some of these resources can be helpful while you practice that. So share this episode with a supervisee or early career clinician, or even an intern preparing for an exam. Links to all 5 resources will be in the show notes. And send me a quick note if there's anything I missed, or if you endorse any one of these resources that I recommended.